And welcome to DC News Now at noon. I'm Mark Hall.
And I'm Shanika Grimshaw.
And I'm meteorologist Damon Matson.
Well, hey, it's Tuesday.
It is.
Not a happy Tuesday. Our Commanders lost. We're going to go into that a little bit later on in the show with sports director Derek Forrest. But it has an impact on really the start of the day for a lot of folks. It's just a little disappointing game. It was a little bit more than disappointing.
Yeah, it was. I started off my day a little, sad, but I got over it, and I'm still looking forward to just better plays and, better days for us.
Now, Shanika, I got to ask, were you like Mark and I? Obviously, we stayed up for our team on Sunday night. Did you stay up for the entire game or no?
No, not the entire game. I got like bits and pieces of it. I met my best friend for dinner, so we were able to watch a little, but that's it. No,
Yeah,
I didn't see the whole thing, but I already saw the way it started. I was like, okay, this doesn't look too good.
You knew you knew what was going on right from
Yeah.
the jump. Yeah,
I was not surprised.
Tough one.
Yeah.
It would have been good to have Jaden Daniels there. I mean, Mariota played solid. He had a nice touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up a little bit later with sports director Derek Forrest.
Yeah, but Damon, here it started off pretty cool. We have a lot of clouds, and it was pretty breezy. And I know we're still worried about Melissa, so we're going to talk about that. But yeah, here, how are we starting?
Yeah, we'll touch on Melissa, obviously, a big story in a few minutes, actually. But yeah, overall, you nailed the two talking points, Shanika. The clouds are on the increase, and it's starting to get a little bit breezy out there as well. Now, regardless of the cloud cover that did roll in a bit more last night into this morning, we did still have some chillier temperatures. You can tell where it stayed a little bit more on the clear side of things. We had those 30s back up across western Maryland, the eastern panhandle, leaking a little bit into the I-270 corridor, but down closer to D.C., southern Maryland, even parts of Virginia, staying in the 40s. And that is just that little bit of a difference that the clouds do make when they blanket overhead during those overnight hours, keeping us away from that freezing mark. And go figure, that is exactly where we are seeing the highest concentration of clouds for this lunch hour. Things are pretty much clouding up across southern Maryland, northern Virginia, the edge of that cloud deck just starting to move into D.C., but this is the general divide we're going to see. More sunshine, more clear sky likely to the north, but more of those clouds, a bit more of a gray day the farther south that you venture in the DMV. So expect that to be the case here. That's going to hold our temperatures down a little bit for those that see the clouds. Highs only in the upper 50s for many, but off to the north we could see some lower 60s still before the day is done. And yes, it is going to be turning breezy. Wind gusts 20 miles an hour or so, but as far as rainfall goes, well, here in the meantime, it's going to be still dry for most of us. There may be a few light sprinkles south and east of D.C., in Virginia, southern Maryland, but the rainfall, it's going to hold off for now. But it's about to get soggier still, so Mark and Shanika will be detailing out the timing of that rainfall. It's going to be getting a bit unsettled for folks out there, and we'll let them know when we should expect some of that wet weather to move its way in.
Well, Damon, another big talker, of course, is Hurricane Melissa. We talked earlier, and you said that it's made landfall. And there were concerns about, just a catastrophic condition, strong winds and heavy rains, and we can assume that that's already underway. We know that people have been preparing for this for the past several days, but it's now here.
Yeah, and again, kind of to that point, Mark, Melissa is in the process of making landfall as we speak. Have not seen official word yet from the National Hurricane Center or any other entity there on the official landfall. We have certain criteria for that, but it is going onto the shoreline of Jamaica as we speak right now. And again, this is probably the worst case scenario with Melissa that we were watching out for, and it's now unfolding. This thing was still strengthening as it made its way toward Jamaica this morning. At last check, wind speeds up to 185 miles per hour. It is going to go down in the books as one of the strongest hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean on record as it was continuing to strengthen like that. And this is going to be the strongest hurricane to ever impact the island of Jamaica. So we're thinking about all the folks down there. This is going to be a really, really rough 24 to 36 hours. And at this point, hopefully all the preparations were made. Everybody's just bunkered down, and we can only hope for the best at this point, Mark and Shanika.
And, government officials in Jamaica, Damon, they said that they've done all that they could to prepare for the storm. And again, you're talking about this strongest storm in over 174 years since record keeping began.
Yeah.
And so, again, everything's in place. I had a couple of colleagues who have family members down there, and they tried to reach them to see if everything's okay, if they're getting ready. But they decided not to answer their phones because just in case they're out of power,
Yeah.
they want to make sure that everything that needs to be charged, they have as much power of a charge as they can possibly have. Because who knows, once the storm leaves, if there's going to be a power outage concern, for a few days or if not longer.
Yeah, and then looking at those photos, those images here from the Associated Press, you could just see how strong it is. It looks really scary. Then looking at the resorts, so you're seeing a lot of people from different places, traveling to Jamaica. A lot of people, that is paradise to many of us. So, yes, this is really scary. I know that we did a story about some people stuck, some people from the DMV who went there to travel, and they're stuck now. So, yeah, our hearts are definitely with those folks there. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the boulders and the rocks that they lined up on the shorelines and the beaches, to kind of keep those high waves from getting into, all of the stuff on the side of the land. So, yeah, very scary there, and hopefully we will get through this.
Yeah, and I have our graphics pulled up here because I do have a satellite loop. Again, we showed it very briefly when we were going over some of those images, but this right here is Melissa making landfall. You can see that eye has not wavered. It is solid at that core of that storm. It is terrifying just to see this storm ripping into Jamaica like that. Again, the eye wall as it crosses onto land, that will make it officially landfall for Melissa there on the western side of the island. And unfortunately, Mark and Shanika, I've seen discussions coming in as they were tracking this storm this morning that we're talking about wind speeds that could cause complete structural damage. We're talking about the fact that there's life-threatening storm surge, still the feet of rainfall that will lead to flash flooding, landslides. So this storm continues to just be insanely, highly impactful on the island of Jamaica. There it is. Again, they did a 12 p.m. update just a few minutes ago, still at that Category 5 strength, and it's not done. Once it crosses Jamaica, unfortunately, they're expecting it to stay even at Category 4 strength, and then it's going to slam into parts of Cuba, the Bahamas, right past Turks and Caicos there as well through the day tomorrow. So Melissa is going to have wide-reaching impacts, not just to Jamaica. That's the main epicenter, if you will, as we move forward, but the entire Caribbean, that side of the Caribbean there, going to be feeling it over the next couple of days.
Yeah, some things to keep in mind. Just check your airlines. There could be cancellations. Those who could have been traveling to anywhere in the Caribbean in that area there, check for flight cancellations or delays.
All right, Damon, thank you so very much. We'll check back in just a few minutes. Shanika, day 28 of the government shutdown, 28 and counting. The pressure to end the second longest federal government shutdown is gaining new urgency this week as millions and millions of Americans face the prospect of losing food assistance.
Yeah, it's a big deal. More federal workers missed their first full paychecks and recurring delays at airports. A lot of things happening as this is like a ripple effect as the shutdown continues. President Trump, the administration, he says that funding will run out for the food assistance on Friday. So that puts people in a jam. I know a lot of people are scrambling, trying to figure out what is next now. And Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to meet with the Senate. Republicans today to discuss tariffs. So that is another part. You're talking about healthcare as well. So a lot going on there. And all we want to hear is when the government will reopen. That's what we're all waiting for.
Shanika, that's obviously the top priority. And President Trump remains in Asia discussing trade negotiations until later on this week, with no movement really expected from Congress towards resolving this budget impasse. Lighter note, Shanika, an annual event, the high heel race, the 17th annual 17th Street, high heel race. I mean, this is obviously a big event. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, tonight, Mayor Muriel Bowser and the Mayor's Office of LGBTQ Affairs, they're going to join thousands of people. Every year, it's a big thing. So it's a fun time. If you're looking at the video there, people get together, they dress up, they put on their tallest heels and they race. And you know, it's for a cause here. It's the 38th annual, as you were mentioning, the 17th Street High Heel Race for DC residents, visitors to all take part in this. People will be cheering on the sidelines as people are just dressed up. So again, a great time. It will begin at 5. And you'll have live performances. You'll have a drag icon performance as well. And yes, so if you are interested, that is happening tonight. It is going to be pretty chilly out there, so make sure you bundle up.
And you know, Shanika, a lot going on with this event. You have, you know, the drag queens. They're going to race down 17th Street. In high heels.
Yeah.
You talked about a lot of performances, you know, DJ Alex Love and a whole lot of others.
Yep.
And of course, the event is hosted by drag icon Cake Pop. So,
Oh,
you
and
know,
our very own Ben Dennis will be
BD's
there
gonna be
as
down there?
Well, yes. Yep.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that will be interesting as well.
And you know,
Can't wait. I'll be
and you
cheering
know
him
how
on.
your DC folks deal with those road closures.
Oh yes. Yes.
That's going to certainly be an issue, and for anyone who has concerns about road closures, you can get more information on our website, dcnewsnow.com. But again, it's going to be a special night. Everything begins at 5 o'clock. The race check-in starts at 7:30, and again, the cost is free. So, a very special time for a whole lot of people in the region. You're watching DC News Now. Noon. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.